You didn't fail early in life. You were just built differently. Think about that for a second. Because most people around you had it figured out at 22. The job, the plan, the direction. And you were still searching. Still unsettled. Still asking questions nobody else seemed to be asking. And maybe someone told you that was a problem. Maybe you told yourself that. But what if Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant minds in the history of human psychology, was right when he said that the people who take the longest to arrive are often the ones who arrive the furthest? There is a personality type. Rare. Quiet. Deeply misunderstood by the world around them, and sometimes by themselves. And this type doesn't peak at 25. Doesn't shine in their 30s the way everyone expects them to. But late in life, something shifts. Something clicks. And the life they build in that second act, it's not just successful. It's the kind of success that lasts. This video is for you, if you've ever felt like you were running behind. Because you might not be behind at all. Jung spent decades mapping the human psyche. He traveled. He studied. He sat with patients who couldn't explain why they felt disconnected from the life they were supposed to want. And slowly, through all of that, a pattern emerged. He called it the introverted intuitive type. Now before you close this tab thinking this is another personality quiz breakdown, stay with me. Because this isn't about labels. This isn't about finding a box to put yourself in. This is about understanding why certain people move through life at a pace that confuses everyone around them, including themselves. The introverted intuitive doesn't process the world the way most people do. They don't grab what's in front of them. They don't react fast. They absorb. They sit with things longer than is comfortable. They sense patterns before they can explain them. They feel the weight of decisions other people make in seconds, not because they're weak, but because they see further. And the world punishes that. The world rewards speed, confidence, early output. The person who raises their hand first. The one who already has the answer before the question is finished. And if you're not that person, if you're the one still thinking while everyone else has moved on, the world quietly tells you that you're behind. But here's what Jung actually understood. What he saw that most people miss. Depth takes time. Not because something is wrong with you, but because what's growing inside you is more complex than what grows fast. Oak trees don't compete with weeds. And you were never meant to. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes with being this type. It's not the loneliness of having no one around you. You might have people, friends, family, a full calendar. But there's still this quiet sense that nobody quite sees what you see. Nobody feels things the way you feel them. And after a while, you stop trying to explain it. You learn to translate yourself. You learn to shrink the depth of what you're thinking into something digestible. Something acceptable. You give people the short version because the long version takes too long and costs too much. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start to believe that the long version is the problem. That you are the problem. Jung had a word for what happens when we bury the parts of ourselves that don't fit. He called it the shadow. Not evil. Not dark in a dramatic sense. Just hidden. The parts of you that got too many strange looks, too much silence after you spoke, too many moments where the room didn't understand you, those parts learn to go quiet. And here's where it gets costly. Because when the deepest parts of you go quiet, you don't stop being yourself. You just stop trusting yourself. You start measuring your instincts against other people's confidence. And confidence is loud. Confidence fills the room. And your intuition, the very thing Jung said was your greatest asset, starts to feel like a liability. That's the wound. Not failure. Not laziness. Not being lost. It's years of learning not to trust the thing that was always trying to guide you. There's a concept in biology called neoteny. It refers to organisms that retain their developmental qualities longer than others. They mature slowly. They stay in a state of becoming for longer than their peers. And because of that extended development, they end up more adaptable, more capable, more equipped to handle complexity. Humans, among all primates, are the most meiotinous species on the planet. We take the longest to develop, and we become the most. I'm not saying that to make you feel better. I'm saying it because it maps directly onto what Jung observed in the people who arrived late but arrived well. They didn't waste their early years. They were developing. Underneath the surface, where no one could see it, something was being built that couldn't be rushed. Think about the professions where late bloomers dominate. Philosophy, literature, medicine, architecture, long-form investing, leadership that actually holds under pressure. These are not fields where the fastest starter wins. These are fields where the person who has processed the most, who has sat with contradiction long enough to understand it, eventually rises above everyone who sprinted past them at 25. Warren Buffett made more than 90% of his wealth after the age of 50. Not because he got lucky late. Because compounding, real compounding, the kind that happens in money and in people, requires time that most people aren't willing to give it. You've been compounding. You just couldn't see the returns yet. And that's the hardest part about being this type. The returns are invisible for a long time. You're depositing into an account that doesn't show a balance. You're building something that hasn't revealed its shape yet. And the world keeps asking you to show your work before it's finished. Don't show it yet. Not because you're hiding, but because some things need to be complete before they're seen. At some point, something happens. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. There's no morning where you wake up and everything is suddenly clear. It's quieter than that. More gradual. Like light coming through a window so slowly you don't notice the room getting brighter until you look up and realize you can see everything. Jung called it individuation. The process by which a person stops performing the life that was handed to them, and starts building the life that was always theirs. It's not rebellion. It's not a crisis. It's more like a recognition. A moment where you stop measuring yourself against a timeline that was never designed for someone like you. And for the introverted intuitive type, this moment tends to come later. Not because they're slow, but because they needed more data, more experience, more seasons of watching what doesn't work before they trusted what they knew all along. They needed to see the patterns complete themselves before they could act with conviction. Here's what that turning point actually looks like in real life. It looks like finally saying no to the career that paid well but emptied you. It looks like walking away from a relationship that made sense on paper but never felt right. It looks like starting something, a project, a business, a creative pursuit, that you should have started 10 years ago but couldn't, because 10 years ago you didn't yet believe in yourself enough to protect it. The turning point isn't an event. It's a decision to stop waiting for permission. And here's what Jung understood that most self-help books will never tell you. That decision doesn't come from motivation. It doesn't come from a podcast or a book or a breakthrough conversation. It comes from exhaustion. From finally being more tired of pretending than you are afraid of being real. That's when the late bloomer blooms. Not when conditions are perfect. When the weight of not becoming yourself becomes heavier than the fear of what becoming yourself might cost. Let's talk about what success means here. Because if you're still measuring it by the metrics you were handed at 22, salary, title, house, timeline, then none of what I'm saying will land. And that's not your fault. Those metrics were designed for a different kind of person. A person who moves linearly. Who climbs a ladder that someone else built and feels satisfied arriving at the top. That's not you. It was never you. The introverted intuitive type doesn't build ladders. They build cathedrals. Slowly. Without guaranteed outcomes. Often without anyone watching or understanding what's being constructed. And when it's done, when you finally step back and see the full shape of what you spent years quietly assembling, it doesn't look like someone else's success. It looks entirely like yours. That's the difference. And it's everything. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who you were trained to be. Not who is convenient for your family, your culture, your generation. Who you actually are. And for this personality type, that privilege arrives late, but it arrives whole. Most people build a career. You build a body of work. Most people accumulate. You integrate. Most people retire and look back wondering what it was all for. You look back and see the thread. The invisible line connecting every seemingly random detour, every painful pivot, every season that looked like failure from the outside but was quietly teaching you something irreplaceable. There's a kind of wealth that doesn't show up in bank accounts. It shows up in how you carry yourself. In the quality of your thinking. In the way people feel when they're around you, like they just got access to something they can't quite name but know they needed. That's what compounds in a person who refuses to be rushed. That's what you've been building. And the world is about to find out. If you've made it here with me, through everything we've been unpacking in this video, I want to pause for just a second. Not to break the conversation, but to be honest with you. This channel exists because I believe that the people who think deeply deserve content that meets them at that depth. Not noise. Not shortcuts. Not the same recycled advice dressed up in a new thumbnail. If that's what you've been looking for, hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow. We do this every day. And I'll tell you something. The people who find this channel and stay, they're usually exactly the type we've been talking about today. The ones who've been quietly searching. The ones for whom most content feels shallow. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, back to where we were. Because there's one more thing Jung said that I haven't told you yet. And it might be the most important piece of all this. He said that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Not to improve yourself. Not to optimize yourself. To accept. To look at everything you've been, everything you've avoided, every year you felt behind, every version of yourself you were ashamed of, and say, this was the path. All of it. Even the parts that hurt. Even the parts that made no sense while they were happening. Because here's the truth about late bloomers that nobody says out loud. The delay wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every year you spent searching was a year you spent developing the discernment that fast movers never had to build. Every season that looked empty from the outside was a season that was filling you with something that can't be downloaded, can't be faked, and can't be taken from you. You were falling behind. You were being prepared for something that required everything you've been through to carry it properly. There's a moment in every long winter where you stop asking when spring is coming. Not because you've given up, but because you've learned to trust the season. You've learned that the ground isn't dead just because nothing is visible yet. That roots don't make noise. That the most important growth in your life has always happened in silence, in private, in the years that looked like nothing from the outside. You know that now. Maybe you knew it all along. You just needed someone to say it without flinching. So here it is, without flinching. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not the sum of the timelines you didn't meet or the versions of yourself you couldn't sustain. You are the accumulation of every question you refused to stop asking. Every room you felt out of place in but stayed anyway. Every night you sat alone with something you couldn't yet name but couldn't let go of either. That's not wasted time. That's a life being built from the inside out. And the people who build from the inside out, they don't peak. They deepen. They don't burn bright and fade. They become something steadier, something realer, something that holds long after the noise of youth is quieted down. Jung spent his entire life studying what it means to become a whole human being. And at the end of all that work, all those years, all that depth, his conclusion wasn't complicated. He said, life really does begin at 40. Not because the first 40 years don't matter, but because that's often when a person finally stops living for the version of themselves that others expected, and starts living as the person they actually are. You might be there already. You might be closer than you think. And if you're still on the way, keep going. Not faster. Just truer. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. That future is still being written. And the best chapters of your story, they don't always come first. If this video made you stop and think, hit that subscribe button and share this with 5 people who needed to hear it today. You know exactly who they are. And drop a comment below, a real one. Tell me where you are in this journey. And if you have a topic you want me to cover next, leave it there too. I read every single one. See you tomorrow.